Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, Mario was found murdered this morning, an axe buried in his skull. Our prime suspect, Gimli, the short guy from Lord of the Rings. No, not those short guys. Look, it's the first person we could think of who kills with an axe. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including an amiibo re-release and a surprising new costume for Super Mario Odyssey. And then on Thursday, come back because we're going to be doing a little bit of a doubleheader, talking about Starlink, the Battle for Atlas, and Dark Souls Remastered on Switch. So that'll be fun. But Mark, in the meantime, how are you?
I'm doing amazing.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
I mean, not much more to say.
That's good.
Things are pretty okay.
Yeah.
Not much to complain about.
Can something be pretty okay, or is it just okay?
I mean,
Are there extremities to okay?
yeah. When would you need to qualify okay? Do you consider, when I say pretty okay, do you think that is let's take the temperature on this, above okay, or is pretty okay like below okay, or
So
is it like you're just
saying,
not committing?
You're saying closer to good.
Yes. Yeah.
I would assume that pretty okay means closer to good.
Okay.
Than to bad.
Yeah, that's great.
And better than okay.
I mean,
I was about to say better than perfect, and that's wrong. That is not what I believe
we
at all.
can't agree that is wrong.
So I am also pretty okay. I updated the operating system on my computer when I came home from work today.
To Mojave?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And it allowed me, I could choose between like light setting and dark setting.
Oh, yes.
And I went with dark setting. So now I'm like, everything I'm looking at here is just like a little bit darker, in some cases a lot darker. And it's just, it's a different, like there's a different mood over here from this side of the hosting chair, which I've decided this chair is the hosting chair. So I don't, if I come off like a little bit strange today, just know it's because I'm getting less light shining directly in my face as we record this episode.
Have you checked out the calendar app?
I have
dark mode.
I have not.
It's pretty cool. I'm sorry, is there supposed to be a nerd alert going off
I don't know.
now? Do we have a?
Well, I mean, here's the thing, Mark, is that we I use some software to like sort of balance out the sound on this thing, and the nerd alert is constantly going off. But we just that just reads as room tone, and GarageBand just takes it out.
Of course.
It's a wild ride. You're saying? I'll check it out. We'll report back next time.
I'll just say it's pretty okay.
Look, guys, you can check out your calendar apps, or you could be friends with us on Switch. Guess which one of those is more fun? It's the Switch one, because then you can see what Mark and I are playing. I love getting these friend requests from people, and just seeing the games you guys are playing.
Yes, sometimes games I've never heard of.
Never heard of. Mark, we do this show every week, twice every week. We read through a list of new releases, and the people are still playing
surprised
games that I've never heard of. Our friend codes are in the episode description, so just find them there and friend us on Switch. We love it, you tolerate it, and everything goes on as before. Mark, we've got something big coming up.
That's right. Not that far away at this point.
No.
Okay.
Very soon.
On November 8th, we're going to be releasing an episode where we definitively come up with a list of the 8 best NES games of all time. Couple of ground rules. Only one game per series will be on the list.
That's right.
So only one Zelda, only one Mario,
only one
Mega Man. And the other rule is that it has to have appeared on the NES. Can't be a Famicom exclusive.
That's right. So we're going to come up with this list, possibly with a guest. We haven't really talked about it. But we need your help because, look, Mark and I will make bad decisions left to our own devices. I'll put Skate or Die 2 on this list.
And I'll probably be okay with that.
Yeah, because Mark doesn't know enough to stop me. You know enough to stop me, okay? So you can write into Nintendo Cartridge Society
At gmail.com
and give us your list of 8 NES games that are the best of all time. Or if you want to just throw up a block on one game and say, Star Tropics 2 Zoda's Revenge does not belong on that list, you are welcome to try it.
That's right. We're not like the UN Security Council. You don't get a full veto.
Is that how that works? Is that how the UN Security Council works?
Yeah, for permanent sitting members.
Oh, okay, good.
But, so we're not like that.
No, we're not like that, but we will take all of your input into consideration.
That's
a lot
right.
of you have already written in.
We're like wise old kings.
Mark, we are exactly like kings. That is correct. But look, you need to get this in. People are participating. If you haven't already emailed us, you are missing out because other people are already doing it. What else can people do with that email address, Mark?
Of course, borrow your copy of Sonic Forces.
My copy of Sonic Forces.
All you have to do is email us your mailing address.
Yes.
And you'll be put on a list. It's like GameFly, basically. It's like a one-game GameFly for free.
That's right.
That eventually it'll be mailed to you. Patrick includes a return postage.
That's
so
right.
You pay nothing except your time for playing Sonic Forces, which you're volunteering to do. Nobody's forcing you.
On this topic, we got an email from a listener. The email reads, "Hey guys, big ups," which is something we sort of stopped saying. But we should
stopped doing guest weather.
That's true. The email goes on. I'm getting in touch as I'm wondering if the Sonic Forces borrowing programs needs to be independently audited. On your show of Tuesday, October 9, it was mentioned that the game hadn't left North America and that a discussion about it crossing the Atlantic took place. However, my request from January 2018, where I was told there were 2 people ahead of me, still remains unfilled, even when Patrick mentioned an interest in Sonic's European holiday. Is the borrowing scheme a scam? Anyway, JK, I love you guys. Just keep up the good work. Your friend, Anthony.
Wow, we got put on blast by Anthony.
On blast. And of course, I responded to this email saying, I'm reading this on the next app, and we will work this out on mic. So this is you and me working it out on mic. Here's the thing. Anthony, when you wrote to us in January, that was the beginning of Sonic Adventure's long sojourn throughout North America. It was gone for 6 months, 7 months.
Oh, yeah, but that's because it did go international.
Right, but just to Canada.
What do we do? Why the qualifier?
I don't know, because it's a different it's different.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's all. So I sent it up there, and now I'll admit I'm a little bit gun shy about sending this thing across national borders.
Yeah, that's fair.
So does the program need an independent audit? Mark, what do you think? Should we ever send this thing over to Anthony or not?
I guess, I think what Anthony is asking is when you were going down the list and sending it out to people, did you at the time?
At which time?
When
it came back after its long disappearance?
Yes, exactly.
After its long disappearance, I skipped Anthony because...
Okay, that's all we wanted to know. That's what we wanted to know, because
right.
I don't think an audit is necessary, because the order was correct.
Yes.
You just made the choice.
I elected to skip it.
You elected not to skip.
Here's the thing. If it's going to take it another 7 months to go to the UK and back, I don't know if it's worth it.
Well, here's something crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we can come to a decision on it right now.
Okay, right. Lay it on me.
What if we purchased a second copy of Sonic Forces and got 2 of these babies going in the wild?
I think that would be fun.
Just something to think about.
Right,
I don't know that we're coming to a conclusion right this moment.
I think it's also possible that there is a second game that we could put into the rotation here. And you just write in saying that you want to borrow something. That's not as much fun. It's got to just be Sonic Forces, right?
I kind of think so.
All right.
We'll figure it out.
So thank you for the feedback. We will.
And thank you for keeping us honest.
Thank you, please, for keeping us honest. Also, another question from the current borrower of Sonic Forces. He says, am I supposed to use the controller skins? I might. Wait, if so, I might as a joke, but if not, no loss. So there are like skins for Joy-Cons that came with this game, and I have sent them along to everyone, and no one no one has used them so far. But my official stance on this is I will not tell you how to use my copy of Sonic Forces. If you want to use the Joy-Con skins, great. If you want to not use the Joy-Con skins, perfect. If you want to chew up the copy of Sonic Forces and then put it back, that's fine. I absolve myself of any responsibility. You, the listeners, get to do whatever you want with my copy of Sonic Forces, which I think should be NCS policy.
I think that is just and right.
Very good. We are nothing if not just and right.
But remind us, where does somebody send their mailing address if they want to be part of this thriving program?
Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com.
All right, Mark, now let's get into the games that we've been playing this week. Tuesday night, Sarah went to the Dodgers
Brewers game.
Mm-hmm. Yes. This was before the series was decided. It was their second game in LA. It's a game that they ended up winning.
Was this the one that went like 13 innings?
Yes, exactly. So I was hanging out by myself on Tuesday night, and I said, Mega Man 11, you're going down. And it did. I beat Mega Man 11. Thank you.
Awesome.
The game is exceedingly difficult. But the hardest level in the game, to my eyes, was the first Dr. Wily level. You saw me do try to like speed run a little bit of it over the weekend. I did not do a good job at it. And it ends with a Yellow Devil fight. Do you know the Yellow Devil from Mega Man?
Is he in the Mega Man level in Smash Brothers?
He is. He's that big yellow thing that like breaks off into pieces and like zips across the stage. And every Yellow Devil fight is a maddening exercise in both like tight precision execution of jumps and slides and memorization of like the pattern that he comes across in. And this one was no exception. He was very difficult. And he's at the end of a super tough level, and the game doesn't, Mega Man 11 is still built very much like Mega Man 1 or Mega Man 2 or Mega Man 3, where like if you get to the end of the level and you've earned your way to the end of that level and then you die fighting the boss, like you get 2 more dies, 2 more tries at it, and then you're going all the way back to the beginning. So it took me a long time to beat this guy. But man, did it feel good when I finally did it. Yeah, really, really, really liked Mega Man 11.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you beaten every Mega Man game that you have played, like attempted?
No. So Mega Man games that I have beaten are 1, 2, 3, 4, not 5 or 6, or 7 or 8. Although of those games, I've really only given an honest try to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Beat 9, beat 10.
And now beat 11.
And now I beat 11, yeah.
Like you were saying, I was watching a little bit of it when we hung out this weekend. And, man, I know we talked about it before, but that game is so cool looking.
I really like the way the game looks. I know it continues to get like a little bit of crap for its like sort of more generic like anime look, but I think they execute on it so well. That it's remains worthy of praise.
Yeah, I totally agree. And when we were hanging out this past weekend, we also played some Super Mario Party.
We did.
Which was my first experience with the game.
Yeah, tell me your impressions of Super Mario Party.
I thought it was fun.
It was fun.
It's very fun. We played one of like the tropical fruit island board.
Yes.
And
me and Sarah and one computer player
who
ended up beating us, by the way. It doesn't feel good.
It did not feel awesome. But what did feel awesome was having both of our Switches under the same roof, something that has never happened in the 2+ years of this show.
Ridiculous. It's an extremely portable console, and you're here every week, sometimes multiple times. Yeah, we made the unfortunate discovery, I would say, that to play any of the multiple Switch games that we were interested in playing,
yeah, and like Toad's
in Mario Party, yeah,
what is it called?
Toad's Rec Room.
Toad's Rec Room.
The ones where you like line them up to do like a little tank battle, and the like matching up the bananas. You need 2 copies of the game.
Yeah, seemingly. Which
maybe there was a way to, but we messed around with it for entire seconds and couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, it's a little bit lame. It was cool when 3DS titles you would they either had like download play,
Yeah.
or there were a few titles where you could like go to the eShop and then download just like the multiplayer component,
Which I believe was specifically for that Mario Party top 100. No, maybe the one before that had just like a version of it that you can download for free that was just to participate in someone else's game who actually owns it.
Yeah, that was a little bit disappointing. But I'm not sad that I didn't buy Super Mario Party because I don't know really like the opportunities I would have to play it with like my own copy with like a large group of people, which seems like the most fun way to do it. But I did have a lot of fun playing Super Mario Party.
Yeah, and I think 3, like the board game, the regular game itself worked with 3 of us, like the 3 of us and one computer player. But if it's 2, like that's too much. You're spending half of the game just like watching it play itself.
Yeah.
But man, I don't know, the like crazy ride that the game like takes you on of like just awarding players stars for no reason, and like people ratcheting up these like insane bonuses and just like moving so far across the map. There was one turn where this Peach we were playing against moved so far that she collected 2 stars.
Yeah, there was
in one turn.
There was one point where she like went one direction on the map, and all 3 of us were like, "Bah ha ha! What a dumb move!"
That's right.
She wiped the earth with us.
And salted it afterwards. We were destroyed. But so yeah, I'm gonna look. I know this is the 3rd week in a row that we've brought up Super Mario Party. I will continue to do it until I'm done playing this game. I'm having fun.
And then of course we played some Starlink Battle for Atlas and Dark Souls Remastered, but we will say nary a word.
That's right.
Until Thursday's episode.
Other than just to mention that if you are thinking about picking up Starlink, we will be spending some time talking about the various ways that you can buy it.
That's right.
It is a maze. So if you can hold out for another 2 days and wait for Thursday, I will try to offer some guidance, but I will, I'm like Hoggle in the labyrinth that I'm probably going to lead you astray. I'm going to
but
do
with the
my
best of intentions.
With the best of intentions.
Uh-huh.
But also he's like contracted by David Bowie to like mess her up, right?
I haven't seen the labyrinth.
Spoilers
for, a really long
for
time.
Labyrinth. All right, so that's what we've been playing this week. Mark, let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
Today, October 23rd, Just Dance 2019 is released on Switch. I also think it's coming out on Wii U and I believe on the Wii. Actually, it may be skipping the Wii U, and it might just be on Switch and Wii.
That makes sense.
I would believe that.
Put it out on Wii.
Nickelodeon Kart Racers is released, and Windjammers on the Switch eShop.
I want to talk about both of these, however, briefly. Nickelodeon Kart Racers has Ninja Turtles in it.
They're a Nickelodeon property now.
I know. I really like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, especially as they come out of the comic books that are being published by IDW right now. And it's almost enough to make me say, do I want to get Nickelodeon Kart Racers?
And you like kart racers.
I do like kart racers. I'm going to do some research on this and see if it's any good. It's got Donatello in it, Mark.
And then Windjammers.
Yeah, Windjammers is, some sort of legendary Neo Geo game where you're throwing discs around. I don't know. It's supposed to be really good. I have zero experience with it.
It's a retro game.
Yes, exactly. And it is they are making a sequel to it. It was announced in like one of the like Nintendo Direct or Indie Showcase or something like that. Which is weird and crazy. We are living in this era where a mostly forgotten Neo Geo game from the 90s can get a re-release and B sequel on current hardware. So
strange times.
Yes.
And then October 25th and October 26th. Look, there's a lot of games on this list, but
you want me to see how fast I can go? How fast I can read them?
Yeah.
Insect Planet, Chicken Range, Exterium X, Puzzle Wall, Super Hyperactive Ninja, Friday the 13th Killer Puzzle, Pinstripe, Storm in a Teacup, 7 Billion Humans, World Puzzles by Paug, Black and White Bushido, Car Quest, Aqua TV, 1001 Ultimate Mahjong 2, Dracula's Legacy, Pianista, Fairy Tales Puzzles, Luke and Rebecca, Johnny Turbo's Arcade, Heavy Burger, and then on the 26th, My Hero 1's Justice, NERO, 911 Operator, and Halloween Pinball.
So it's a regular grab bag.
It's a regular grab bag of games that you're not going to play, right?
Well, I don't think we can say that anymore because we have lots of friends on our Switch accounts who are playing games that I don't know about, and there could be a very cool game in there.
There could.
It just doesn't have the marketing of, say, a Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, this is obviously what's happening is everyone sees Red Dead Redemption 2, which is coming out on Friday, October 26th, and saying, I'm going to get out of the way of Rockstar Games' new game, and just I won't even put anything out. But if you're playing Storm in a Teacup, let us know. Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. Mark, nothing on there draws your interest.
I mean, I'm always interested by anything called Heavy Burger.
I laughed at Luke and Rebecca.
I bet it's nice. I bet it's a nice game.
I'm sure it's very nice.
It's nice.
All right, Mark, let's get out of the new releases. And now it's time for a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, today we are talking about the dangers or supposed dangers of trick or treating. So we got into this partially because you want to talk about razor blades and candy.
Well, I wanted to talk about, where did that story come from? Is it a real threat?
I don't think it's a real threat, right? Because first of all, what would be the point?
I guess if you're, a maniac?
Okay, if you're a maniac and what you want to do is hurt a child, days after you see them, sure. Also, a razor blade, that's pretty big.
Right. So that's one of the stumbling blocks is how do you get razor blade into a candy undetected? Here's what I think.
I don't think we should have this conversation on mic and distribute it to people.
Here's what I think.
Yeah.
Is that the story comes from the 70s or 80s when it was more common for people to hand out homemade treats.
Sure.
Caramel apples or
Rice
popcorn
Krispie
balls.
treats.
Yeah, exactly. Something not prepackaged.
Man,
something
it would be so easy to hide a razor blade
exactly
in a Rice Krispie treat.
Yeah, and so
you don't even need to bake those.
So that's where I think it comes from. Did you growing up? Were your parents nervous about you going trick or treating? Did you like going trick or treating?
I liked going trick or treating because I have a sweet tooth. Sorry, the audience here is laughing at the sort of pause between movements is what's happening. So no, my parents were never we were told to only go, not accept candy from people we didn't know, but you're going to houses you don't know. And I mean, we were always in the neighborhood or someone else's neighborhood. We were never just off in some place that we didn't know or didn't understand. It felt like it was a very safe sort of structured thing all the time. Were you scared of trick or treating?
No.
Did you like it?
Not. I'm sure I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like having to choose a costume. I found that stressful. But yeah, we always just went in the neighborhood. And when I got a little bit older, my parents were pretty much once you turn 12, you no longer need to trick or treat. And I actually think that's a fair rule.
I do think that's a fair rule.
Because nobody wants to see 13-year-old boys walking around with weird peach fuzz, just being gross and dumb 13-year-olds.
First of all, not trying hard enough on their costumes. universally true of 13-year-olds. It was probably when I was 13, like the last year that my friends and I tried to go trick or treating, and like really half-hearted, like had costumes, and like we're getting like looks and like snide little comments from like everyone, and then it's just like, all right, time to put this to bed. No more need to trick or treat.
I think in high school I went trick or treating for UNICEF for like the March of Dimes. That two separate things.
Sure, okay.
Where you like walk around with like a little. You're not dressed up. You're just like going door to door and like asking people for change, and they put it in your little box.
Right.
You know, one of those things you're like, this will look great on my college transcript, and it's like nobody cares.
Yeah, if you want to like impress someone on a college transcript.
Oh yeah,
I was going to say
application.
resume, but that's not right either. Raise some real money.
Yeah, become a venture capitalist before you're 18.
Not some dimes.
You want to impress somebody, especially me.
Whoa. Look, anything you can do to help is, of course, obviously very great, and we appreciate your efforts. And anything you can spend, we appreciate it. There was one danger trick-or-treating in the greater Chicago area where I grew up, is that some years it would be very cold on Halloween. And you have to decide, do I wear my winter jacket over my Three Musketeers costume? Or do I try somehow to wear the coat under my Three Musketeers costume?
I never really lived anywhere where it got that cold in October.
Yeah.
So I never experienced like a freezing trick or treat.
There was one this year with the Three Musketeers costumes with my two friends, Reed and Jeff, who also had the same costumes, where we were up at like Jeff's grandma's for the weekend before Halloween. We were trick-or-treating up there, and it was snowing. Like, it was snowing while we were trick-or-treating. That's amazing.
You persevered.
I did persevere. It felt like they were applauding me.
It did.
Man, that felt great. And I guess we'll never know. We were accompanied today by the BBC Orchestra as conducted by Lawrence Foster. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
If you missed out on any Smash Brothers amiibo in the past, it looks like you'll have another chance to pick them up sometime this fall. As required by law, Nintendo keeps a list of products that fall under the regulations of the U.S.'s Consumer Product Safety Improvement Act and updates the certificates of compliance as required. The listings for various Smash Brothers amiibo, including Marth, Sheik, Wii Fit Trainer, and of course, Jigglypuff,
Of course.
among others, were updated to include a September 2018 manufacturing date.
So this raises a couple questions, right?
Sure, like who's watching these pages, and then how does it like disseminate to the greater internet? Because I know there are like
Reddit. The answer's Reddit.
but like, who is somebody that is?
Have you ever been to r/amiibo?
I know
Those people are out of their minds.
I know, and like there are like browser extensions that you can download that
Yes.
like alert you when a page is updated. You're right. We answered.
It's
this.
Reddit.
Makes
It's
total
Reddit.
sense.
Yeah.
Makes total
And
sense.
I mean, every single time that there was a like new wave of the Smash amiibos being released, there's always like one of them that's exclusive to GameStop, and like one that's exclusive to Target, and at the time one that's exclusive to Toys R Us, and all of these like various ways that you had to like actually find these things. And like the only place that was gathering all the information was this r/amiibo. And so like there was a period where I was on that site. I don't go to Reddit, okay? But I went to this page regularly for a while, and they're a good source of news. So those maniacs who I trust, I'm sure they were right on top of this.
Yes, so I guess are there any Smash Brother amiibos that you didn't
Do
get
not
the
have.
first time around that
Yes.
you're like interested in picking up if they
So-
come out again?
I think I want to pick up this Sheik amiibo because I don't have Sheik or Zelda. But I believe those are the only two Zelda related amiibo of any kind that I don't have. So it would be nice to round that out. But the others that you have listed here, Marth, Wii Fit Trainer, and Jigglypuff, I do have.
And
But
there were others. I
yeah.
just didn't list all of them.
there are others. I mean, including I don't have a Luigi, for example. So some kind of basic stuff that I should what am I talking about? That I should get I should get these amiibo. I don't know. Will I pick up? Is that the question?
I guess that is the question.
Yeah, I mean probably. No, but so the question that this really poses to me is, and this is to my knowledge, is a question that we don't have an answer to. What is the amiibo functionality with Smash Brothers?
What is it in the current game?
I'm glad you asked. You can use amiibo, or you can make like dummy characters, computer controlled characters, and train them and like save them to an amiibo. So like you can give them custom moves, and you can equip them with equipment that changes their stats, and then you can fight with them, and as you fight with them, they learn how to fight back against you. And they actually do that in like an active learning kind of way. So if you are spamming projectiles at them, they get good at avoiding projectiles. If you're always doing like a down A to like smash from above, they will get very defensive when someone is above them. And they like level up in this way from level 1 to 50, getting just like stronger and better at fighting. And so like a bunch of my amiibos have those like, computer controlled but trained by me characters inside them, and I don't know if that's going to be a part of this game.
But then what do you do with them once that
you scan them in? So like it's a way to add like one more little like wrinkle to, like, let's say Yumi and Greg Smith are hanging out playing Smash together.
Oh, sure.
And we're like, oh, you know what, let's get like a fourth player in here, and we've all been picking the same character all night. And we kind of know how each other play. Like, it might be fun to just like scan in my Mario amiibo, who's always going to be the same color, who's like moves the same, and sort of has a virtual like Smash personality that we're just like playing against the same character, and he gets better. Like, it is interesting, and it is a fun way to add another computer controlled player that isn't just random, set on like difficulty of 4 or 5 or whatever.
Yeah, and it would be cool if you were able to take those that you trained on like the Wii U version and bring them to the Switch version.
Because you can do that between the Wii U version and the 3DS version. I've done it a bunch of times. But yeah, like I don't know if, because that requires you to have the character customization options, which you could do in the 3DS and Wii U versions. And I don't know if there's going to be any customization in the new version. I don't know that we've heard anything like that.
Yeah, I don't think we've heard anything about it. But as the game gets closer to release, I think we're due for like a big blowout direct in the next like 3 weeks or so.
Yeah, we're getting close.
A
month and a half.
Whoa. One of the defining aspects of early, I was about to say characteristics, but I didn't write that down, so now I'm changing it to say aspects, which conforms with the words I have written.
Perfect.
One of the defining aspects of early Pokemon game stories was rival characters who bully your character throughout the game.
See, you already had the word character in the sentence twice, so that's why you didn't want to use characteristics earlier in it.
But fans have noticed that in more recent games, especially in the footage that has been shown for next month's Let's Go games, rivals are a little less jerky than they used to be. GameSpot recently published an interview with Let's Go director Junichi Masuda, where he explained the shift, saying, quote, "I think the biggest reason that rivals were more of a jerk in the early days is that we were just limited in what we could express with the pixel graphics. There's not much you can do with that kind of little sprite on the screen, so we worked harder to characterize them through dialogue and give them personalities. Also, because it's just dialogue and there's not a whole lot going on the screen, it doesn't give it as harsh of an impression, even if they're jerks, I think. Now we have HD graphics and the visuals are much more impressive. If you also made him a jerk, the impression would be a lot stronger on players. Another thing, just my own personal take, is that it feels that people with these kinds of personalities these days are just not as accepted by players as they were back then," end quote.
Wow. What sort of gaming forums is he hanging out on where he thinks jerks are not welcome? It sort of makes sense, right? That the more abstract the character is, if he's being mean to you, you're just sort of like, oh, okay, this is just a weird little personality. If he starts to look like a real character and it's being mean, you're like, why is he being mean to me?
I also wonder, do you think that bullies are portrayed differently or less than in like modern kids media? I don't watch a lot of like shows geared at children, but I think there were always when we were growing up like don't bully people, but I feel like the conversation has become more focused, maybe for lack of a better word.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I do feel like for as much like don't bully people as there were a lot of bullies in things that we watched as kids,
Right,
right?
and I'm wondering if this is like there used to be like the friendly drunk archetype,
Yeah,
right? Where
sure.
it's just like, hey, it's the town drunk and he's drunk all the time and it's funny and it's just part of like the town's milieu.
Yeah, milieu.
That sounds right.
I know, but like thinking like my mind when we are talking about like bullies and kids entertainment that we watch, my mind goes immediately to the Adventures of Pete and Pete, which had like a whole cast of bullies, and like it's something that like made sense to the mythology of the show. But I think it sort of like normalizes the idea that there is a kid who is just a bully and not bullying as like a behavior that anyone can take on.
Right, and so that's what I wonder. I'm sure, like bullies still exist in children's media. I just wonder if like we did with like Drinky, the town drunk, if like we have
Right.
changed the way that we address that kind of stuff.
Well, The Simpsons, being a 30-year-old show, still has Barney Gumble the drunk and Nelson Muntz the bully and Apu. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what The Simpsons is doing anymore.
During an appearance at GeekWire Summit earlier this month, Nintendo of America president Reggie Fils-Aimé was asked how he and the rest of Nintendo's leadership led the company during the dark times of the Wii U.
Who asked this question?
I don't know.
It's a ballsy question. Hey, your company was bad for a while.
Well,
Talk about that.
Yeah. Well, so this is how he responded.
Yeah.
A few days ago, Nintendo celebrated its 129th birthday, 129 years old. So this is a company that has reinvented itself constantly. Many of your speakers are talking about an invention of new companies. We reinvent ourselves every 5-10 years. We have to in this fast-moving entertainment business. The other piece about Nintendo is we always do things differently. It's in our DNA. Doing what other people does is just not what we believe in. The other aspect to this is that we focus on giving consumers experiences that they haven't even thought of. And so when you're constantly going down this path, you create doubters. You create people who, because we're not taking a traditional path, people say it must not be right, it won't be effective. So whether it's been with the Wii back in 2006, whether it's been with our Nintendo 3DS, whether it's now with the Nintendo Switch, our focus is innovating, giving new experiences, and in doing so, driving our business forward. Lastly,
I like that he picks those like the three successful options.
Yeah.
It's not like the
Virtual
Boy, the Wii U.
a Game Boy Micro. Lastly, this innovation focus doesn't always work, and we're the first to admit that there will always be stumbles along the way. But in the words of one of our presidents, this is Mr. Yamuchi, he said, "When you're doing well, don't be excited about that high-flying performance. And when you're doing poorly, don't be saddened. Always have an even keel and always focus on the next big adventure. And that's what we do." End quote.
I like to think that we approach this podcast in much the same way.
Oh, we're very even keeled.
That's right. You will never know if you're listening to a good episode of the show or a bad episode.
And we don't either.
No, we're just going to keep on going.
Rockman Unity, the Japanese website dedicated to the Mega Man franchise, had an interview with Mega Man 11 producer Kazuhiro Tsuchi. How do you say that?
Tsuchiya?
Yeah.
Tsuchiya?
Where he hinted at a separate Mega Man idea that was once in development before they landed on Mega Man 11. Do you want to do this quote?
Sure. Quote, since I was thinking of what to do for Rockman's 30-year anniversary, at the same time, I answered, this is to another producer, if we make a game, shouldn't we start right now? It was a coincidence that I was in charge of Rockman Classic Collection, too. So I thought that I must go with the flow and make the game right away. Oda's word back then, quote, it's Capcom's duty to correspond to fans' hope. Left a deep impression in my memory. I could feel how serious he was when he said the word duty. Since then, we put out so many plans, and and a lot of people in the company was cheering for us. Our initial plan wasn't Rockman 11, actually, but I want this to be released in another form eventually, so details about it will be kept secret for now. So basically, just good to know that they take this idea of duty to like fulfill fans' hopes seriously. And I'm very happy with Mega Man 11, but the fact that they were like dreaming up something else for Mega Man's 30th anniversary, that gets me excited too.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're like, oh, what are you gonna do with Mega Man? The initial answer is make Mega Man
Another one,
11,
right?
right? Like make, and so I do wonder what this was,
Yeah. Well,
that
I mean,
would
like
be so different from like Mega Man 11.
right. Well, and like we've talked before about how there are so many like branching paths of Mega Man. There's the X series, there's the Zero series, there's Battle Network, there's the Star Force games that I didn't know anything about until we looked it up recently. Um, there's the Legend series. So there are a lot of different things that a new Mega Man game could be. Mega Man Soccer. You ever play Mega Man Soccer?
No, I didn't even know it existed.
It is pretty okay.
That's pretty close to good.
Mm-hmm.
Rocket League's Rocket ID update, which will improve cross-platform play by allowing you to play with friends on different platforms, has been delayed from fall 2018 to early 2019. But according to developer Psyonix, the delay will allow them to implement changes so they can support cross-platform play with Sony in the event that Sony allows them to in the future.
Right. So cross-platform play is already mostly possible on Nintendo Switch, Xbox, and PC as it is. Sony's been the lone holdout in that. But the idea of a Rocket ID like system is sort of one like meta layer above that abstracts everyone's data and then makes it so that all of them are able to play together through these Rocket IDs. So it's a little bit different from just like my version on Switch talking to your version on PC. It's making them all shoot to one common source and then like filtering out from there.
It'll be really interesting. Like, I'm just kind of assuming the cross-platform play will be table stakes going into whatever like the next generation looks like, and that feels like a potential game changer because I remember I had an Xbox 360 initially,
Right.
loved my Xbox 360, but all of my friends ended up getting PS3s,
Yes.
and so I eventually got rid of my Xbox 360 and I bought a PlayStation 3. But if I'm able to play with my friends who have PS3s when I have an Xbox 360, then that totally changes the dynamics.
Yeah. Well, and like I think we are all like in the world now where we have two groups of friends. One who maybe we have more than two groups of friends. But like there is a group of friends that are playing on one platform and a group of friends who are playing on another platform, and you're just like, well, you know, am I going to commit myself to like one or the other? And if you're picking up a third party game, if you're picking up like a Division or something, like what platform are you going to play that on? Like,
yeah, and it'll just be cool to like not, the idea of not having to do that calculation is very like,
it's appealing. Yeah.
very appealing.
But you gotta I don't know if we're there yet for like a big AAA $60 game. Like it's happened with Fortnite and it looks like it's going to happen with Rocket League, but like, you know, it's going to be not going to happen with Black Ops 4, right? Like it's going to be a while before there's like a big $60 full price game where they like make that a priority to play across. Just, and this is, you know, we're starting to talk less about Nintendo because I think Nintendo won't be involved in that conversation just by virtue of not running those games the same way. But I think we're still a little ways away from like one of those companies making it a priority. When they just be like, no, maybe you should buy one for your Xbox and another one for your PlayStation so you can play with all your friends.
We totally missed the boat on this one, but Splatoon 2 held a Halloween-themed Splatfest this past weekend called Splatoween.
Okay, hold on. We missed the boat, but Splatoween comes a week and a half before Halloween. No one was like going out trick-or-treating last weekend. That's going to happen this weekend.
Yeah, look, we weren't wrong, of course.
Yes, that's all I'm saying.
It's the dates that were wrong. It does look like it was like really cute.
Mm-hmm.
Had some special like themed decorations in the plaza and everything like that. The rivalry was between Team Trick and Team Treat, and Team Treat ended up winning 2-1.
Okay.
Team Trick was more popular, so I remember when they changed Splatfest, like the calculations and everything a little ways back.
Well, it was like and like the categories too, right? It wasn't
right.
It was it doesn't matter what it went from. It was like from like casual, ranked, and who chose which one more is what it is now.
Uh-huh.
And I think before it was like solo, team, and then who whichever one was picked more, but we didn't know what solo and team meant, right?
Or I certainly didn't.
I'm saying we. Yes,
Yeah.
you and I.
And after they made that update, I speculated that maybe because what was happening previously was that the most popular choice would pretty consistently always end up losing the Splatfest.
Yes.
And then the last time we talked about a Splatfest, that did not happen.
Right. So Mark was using this as evidence that, the arc of history veers towards justice, right?
Yes. Yeah, of course.
But this is borne out not to be true in this case, right?
Yes, sadly. Because in this instance, Team Treat, which ended up winning, was least popular.
So no one knows.
Right. And as you always note, all these numbers may be made up anyways.
Totally made up. You would never know.
Finally, speaking of spooky Nintendo updates, Nintendo released a new costume for Super Mario Odyssey that's definitely Halloween appropriate. It's a zombie outfit.
Yes.
Mario takes an axe to the head.
To the head.
I have to admit, I clutched my pearls a little bit.
You did.
This was surprising.
Unsurprising?
It was unexpected and surprising.
And surprising. Very good. Combine those together. Unsurprising. I think it's cool. I like the fact that they have been continuing to add costumes to Mario Odyssey. I would like them to add something a little bit more substantial so I could do something with those costumes. But there was a while where they were just adding the brutal costumes, which is like okay, but
yeah, scraping the bottom of the barrel for sure.
It is because like I've got no affinity for the brutals. Like I sort of remember that I fought them.
There's
last
a tall one.
Yep, there's a fat one. Probably he might be green. I think the tall one is yellow. No one knows is the thing. And then here's one that's a zombie. Mario's eyes are blank. His flesh is rotting off his face, and there's an axe buried in his skull.
No, I think the reason why I was surprised is like an axe buried in the skull is fairly violent. The implication is that he was murdered. The implication is that three things either happened.
Okay.
One, he picked up juggling and miscued,
right,
and it landed in his head.
He was feeling overly confident with the clubs.
Exactly.
Someone handed him axes.
Two, he was walking around a hardware store. Boom, axe to the head.
Oh, sure. Something was on a high shelf.
Yes.
He started climbing up. The shelf started like swaying back and forth. He lost his balance. Wah! And then an axe comes.
Third,
he was murdered.
He was murdered
by Gimli the dwarf, son of Glowin.
Just a little surprising.
I mean, maybe Mario dies of natural causes, and someone here's what happens. Mario and the Mario gang are camping, right? They're in like a cabin, and it's getting cold because it's nighttime, right?
Sure, yeah.
So like Mario go out and chop the wood. And he's like, it's a me, Mario, and he does it, right? But he suffers an extreme heart attack while swinging the axe, and he dies right there on the spot.
Could happen to anybody.
Could happen to anyone, right? Especially someone who, he's got some like weight, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Mario's at a heart attack risk. Let's just assume that that's true. And then so everyone's like waiting for Mario to come back. He doesn't come back. They're like, should someone go out there and check on him? But by this point, it started to snow, and Luigi's like, look, we can worry about where Mario is later. I'm gonna go chop some firewood, or we're all gonna freeze to death. So Luigi goes out there. Mario's already dead, mind you, but he's been covered in a thin layer of snow. And Luigi is like, well, he doesn't see his brother.
Why? How could you? It's dark and it's snowing.
That's right. But he does see the like chunks of wood that he's got to start breaking up for firewood. So he, puts him on the thing, and he's swinging the axe. And he's Luigi, right? So he's a klutz.
Dummy.
He's a dummy. So he just misses the wood that he set up on like the tree stump there, and the axe goes right into his brother's skull.
Oh, that is the spookiest Halloween tale ever told. Sometimes I've heard if you're camping in just outside of Brooklyn around Halloween time and you listen really quietly, you can still hear Mario!
All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. Okay, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember to come back on Thursday if you want to navigate an insane labyrinth of how you can buy Starlink: The Battle for Atlas, and of course Dark Souls remastered on Switch.
An insane labyrinth of its own kind.
That's right, a diegetic labyrinth. Remember, rate, review, subscribe, and all that good stuff on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify is a place where you can find us. You can also find us on the website for the network that we are on. What's our name now? Campfire. We are campfire.media, I think is the website.
I think that's right.
You can find us there, or you can find us anywhere where you find podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKA Mitchell, and the show is at Nin Cart Society. Or you can get us on Facebook. We are just Nintendo Cartridge Society there. If you like Mark and Mine's opinions, we do write about comic books on retconpunch.com. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying, "It's-a me, Mario." And thanks for listening.